Hi, welcome to Crush House Cappers. I'm your host, Wayne Allyn Root, the CEO of VegasWinners.com, and the man the media calls the king of Vegas sports gambling and America's odds maker. I'm the only sports handicapper in the world with a 180-pound granite star on the Las Vegas Walk of Stars. And now I'm bringing my Vegas wise guy connections and Vegas insider knowledge to you. This is the show for every type of sports gambler. Male, female, high roller, beginner, $10 better, $10,000 better. We're here to empower anyone and everyone that loves the single most important part of betting, winning. At Crush House Cappers and our sponsor website, VegasWinners.com, winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. Today I bring you my friend Big Al McMordie. Big Al's the most honored technical handicapper in the country with 45 handicapping championships since 1992. All right, Big Al, great to have you back. Return visit number 3. And throughout the football season, we'll see you again and again and again. Let's talk about some preseason action. First of all, I have a general question for you, a generic question about the preseason. You're a Mr. Handicapping Championship. You've won all these championships. You're Mr. Analysis. You've got all the computer systems and trends and histories. You have 1,000 things on your computer, and you're brilliant at what you do. But how can you apply that to preseason when either you don't even know who's starting, or you know who's starting, but you don't know how quick they're getting the hook, and then third stringers are playing for half the game or 3/4 of the game? How does those statistics work when you have preseason games like that?
Well, Wayne, a lot of this stuff is driven by the quarterback rotations. And you take a look, for example, at the Green Bay Packer-Buffalo Bill game. The line opened up at -4, and now it's up to -9.5. And that particular move has been driven by the announcement of which players are going to play. So when you've got, for example, Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love unavailable for the Packers, and they're going to their third-string quarterback, they move the number accordingly.
So that factors into the way you give out the pick.
Of course. I mean, you always look at the point spread, and each player has value, and try to determine where the value lies.
So where is the value in the Green Bay Packers-Buffalo Bills game? Who are you giving?
Well, it's an interesting game. You take a look at what the two teams have done. The Packers have gotten off to a bad start this season. They've scored just 21 points. Buffalo, on the other hand, has scored 57. Last week, Buffalo scored 41 on a 20-for-28 performance behind quarterback Mitch Trubisky. I really like Buffalo in this ballgame. One of the things you don't want to do is step in and play a team that's playing really bad in the preseason. When you look at how teams do off back-to-back losses of more than 7 points, as Green Bay is, those teams are 4-23, their last 27 ATS in the preseason versus opponents off back-to-back wins. So normally, as you know, Wayne, I'm a contrarian, at least in the regular season, but in the preseason, that doesn't always hold, and you have to look at how teams are playing in the preseason and what the coaches are doing, and there's no way I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers here and go against a Buffalo Bills team that's on a roll.
Yeah, I always argue that what you say is brilliant, but it also is common sense. The reason to me why a team would score very few points 2 weeks in a row in the preseason and you bet against them the third week in a row is because their coach doesn't give a crap about the preseason. Right? Some coaches love it and they just win and win and win, and it means nothing in the regular season. And some coaches lose and lose and lose because all they want to do is look at, how does my third string and fourth string do in this situation? They don't care about winning. So that's probably a team that doesn't care about winning. Green Bay in the preseason doesn't care about winning. So to me, brilliant pick, just common sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at all the various factors. This particular preseason is a lot different than the other preseasons. We have a 3-week preseason this year compared to 4 weeks in the past. Normally, this week 3 was the dress rehearsal game where they would focus on the starters and play the starters, if not the full game, at least a half. But this time, it's the last preseason game going into the regular season. So you have a lot of coaches just holding back all their starters. So you have to see what each team is doing and then make your decisions.
Right. Well, look at my Dallas Cowboys. I'm the biggest Cowboy fan in the world. They're winless for the preseason, and that's because they're not playing any starters. Almost nobody's playing. And Dak Prescott is out for the entire preseason. He won't take a snap until the Tampa Bay opening game on Thursday night. So, it's very hard to pick a game when there's no starters playing. Dallas Cowboys coach obviously doesn't care about winning in the preseason. He cares about looking at backup players in certain situations. Let's talk about another great game, Rams and the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, and this one I'm going to use a different tack than the Green Bay Buffalo at one level, you really don't want to lay a lot of points in the preseason. I'm going to do it with Buffalo because Green Bay just isn't playing anyone. But in this Rams-Broncos game, the number is greater than 7 points. And when you look historically at NFL preseason games, you really don't want to lay that many points, all things being equal. When you can get a team in the preseason that's getting 7.5 or more points, those teams going all the way back to 1983 or 40 and 18 ATS. Wow. So I think the value here is on the Rams against the Broncos. And if you take also a look at what these two teams have done coming into this game, the knee-jerk reaction actually might be to play on Denver. Denver comes into this game off back-to-back blowout wins. Both are on the road. Now they're playing their home opener. Meanwhile, the Rams come into this game off back-to-back losses. Both of those were at home. Now they're going on the road the first time. The knee-jerk reaction might be to take a look at the home team, thinking that those two trends are going to continue, but it actually doesn't hold. When you've got a home team playing its home opener off back-to-back road games, those teams are 11 and 34 ATS against road teams coming off back-to-back home games. So it's kind of a contrarian thing here, and then you take a look at the value with the Rams getting over 7 points. I actually like the Rams plus the points in this ball game.
All right, last but not least, we have the defending Super Bowl champion, Tom Brady-led Tampa Bay Buccaneers against Houston, who's led by, I don't know. So it's a very interesting matchup. Are they going to care in the preseason? You'd think Houston might care, playing the defending Super Bowl champion to enter the season with a win. I don't think Tampa Bay gets up for this game.
I don't know. I think when you look at what defending Super Bowl champions do in the preseason, a pretty clear dichotomy emerges based on, are they off a win or off a loss? And going all the way back to 1983, defending Super Bowl champions, when they're off a loss, do pretty well. They're 32 and 23 ATS. Conversely, when they're off a win, they do awful. They're 22-39 ATS. So the fact that Tampa Bay comes into this ball game off a blowout home loss, by 31 points last week to the Titans, I love Tampa Bay in this game. You have the fact that they're off back-to-back losses in this preseason. I do think that they're going to want to start a winning mentality. And then the fact that they only scored 3 points and it was in front of their home faithful, I like Tampa Bay on the road here.
All right, and for those who don't know, there's a lot of rookie bettors tuning in. Brand new amateurs. Sports betting's legal all over the country. Lots of people have never done it before. Al, you're throwing around terms like ATS, and they don't have a clue what you mean. Against the spread. See, here at Crush House Cappers, we don't care who wins the game. It's meaningless who wins the game, unless you're on the money line. But 99% of all betting is about the point spread. So ATS means against the spread. So when a team is 23 and 39, ATS, it's 23 and 39, 23 wins, 39 losses against the point spread. How they did outright, we have no idea. Al has no idea. I have no idea. We care about how they do against the point spread. Al, another great performance. I love your stats. I love your trends. I love your analysis. And we'll see you again in a week or two. Big Al McMordie, one of the great handicapping champions in the United States of America. Thanks, Al.
Thanks, Wayne.
All right, with the man of the hour, Sean Salisbury, former NFL quarterback, who always has the NFL answers. We have great discussions every week. Welcome aboard, Sean.
Wayne, good to be with you, brother.
All right, so let's talk about some obvious questions heading into the regular season. Preseason's just about over. First starting quarterback to lose his job in the NFL, and how quick will it happen?
I'm going to say it's going to be Andy Dalton in Chicago. The 49ers got a good team if Jimmy G starts. And it doesn't even have to be with a rookie. It can be with a veteran backup. I'm going to say it's Justin Fields taking over in the next 2 or 3 weeks because Andy Dalton's going to get the first start. Hell, if they're struggling, it may be at halftime. They're not very good. They're going to need somebody to make more plays. I'm going to say Justin Fields first and a chance that in New England, if Mac Jones isn't named the starter and they don't start fast there too.
Yeah, Mac Jones has looked really good in the preseason.
Yeah.
I like what I see with that kid. So it may not be right away, but sometime this season, I think you'll see a transition to Mac Jones. I would say that for sure. And he's perfect for the system of Belichick. I mean, he's another potential Tom Brady, in my opinion. He's got that kind of thing going for him. All right, let's talk about the best coach in the NFL. From what you've seen in the preseason, heading into the new 2021 season, best coach in the NFL.
Yeah, Wayne, this is interesting. I don't know if we're to the point now where we can say, okay, somebody's challenging Belichick. I think we know all time that the best coach that we've ever had in the NFL is Bill Belichick. Now, if they started to close the gap, if I had the next 10 years, Sean McVay might be my guy. If I had just one game, maybe it's Bill Belichick with his game plan. But right now, for my money, and I think Sean Payton's really good. For my money, if I was starting a franchise today and I got him for 5 years or need to win one season, I'm going with Andy Reid. I think the players respond to him. It helps that he has a great quarterback. But wherever he's gone, and even before he won that Super Bowl, Wayne, he was the best coach never to win a Super Bowl. He was a Hall of Famer even without that. Finally got the respect he deserves, gets a Super Bowl a couple years ago. I think Andy Reid right now is as good as we have in the league and one of the finest human beings you'll ever run into.
Sean, as an NFL quarterback, obviously you know that the most difficult position to transition from college to the NFL is quarterback. We see guys get drafted all the time in the first round, and they suck, to be honest with you, when they get to the NFL, right? Because the speed of the game. But other than quarterback, we know how hard that position is. What's the hardest position to transition from college to the NFL?
Well, it used to be for the longest time, Wayne, and it shocked me, is receivers standing up outside. It's still at times the perimeter guy standing up, sees all the coverage. You think, why is this so difficult for young receivers to understand? Well, in college, they were better than everybody, so maybe they weren't as precise a route runner, and they're not used to these grown-ass men coming up on them and pressing them and forcing them to get off, because in college, they're giving them a little more leeway with bigger windows. I would say right now, Wayne, and I go through it, they're all tough. Being a corner playing man coverage, but if you got help over the top, it's that, I think the left tackle who's got to deal with the best athlete on the field. Right tackle, left tackle, whatever, because they're playing against a 6'5", 240-pound football playing Jesse who will whip your ass physically and then turn around and run right by you. And they do it all, and they're strong, and they can bench the team bus. So I'm going to go with the outside tackle because you got to have great feet and great physicality. You got to pass block and run block. Even though you pencil them in right away, I think that's one of the most difficult transitions. And I actually think running back, you can adjust the quickest because you run to daylight when you're starting out early.
And I'll tell you what I think the most interesting position is in football that every team should have. Not every team does. But when I played football, I played monster back, right? So my job was to be kind of a hybrid, a hitting linebacker and also a safety who went back in coverage. And all of a sudden, the NFL has those kind of guys. The Dallas Cowboys, my Cowboys as an example, got Keanu Neal, two-time Pro Bowl safety. He's been converted to a linebacker. And he's going to be near the line of scrimmage, hitting, causing fumbles. But then he's going to go back in coverage against tight ends. That's a very interesting hybrid position. And there's a few players in the NFL that have mastered it, and their teams seem to do really well because that's tough to play against when you're the quarterback. So I love the monster back position. They don't call it that. Maybe they call it a hybrid back. What's the term nowadays?
But you know what, Wayne? I was just going to compliment me. I said, man, now we're going back. I love it because we used to call it when I first broke into league college. That's our monster back. Right. Monster meaning he was going to knock you out physically, but also was good enough to run and play in space and do all that. Like a Polamalu who wasn't oversized. You could have put him at linebacker. You could put him at safety. And you know, Wayne, you make a great point. Like the tight end who's flexed out now, not just with his hand in the dirt, but like old school tight ends. We have got these guys now that are 225 that are playing outside linebacker because now we're in the explosive time, right, my man? Right. So, they use difference. He'll label them. We got Will, Mike, and Sam, and some people will call the guy Jake or use another name to label him. But monster back describes it, and that's the term I grew up with, so I love it. And we didn't even get to have that conversation before the show, so you're right on, man. It's a great position, too.
That was my position. I was not a great athlete, but I was a human missile.
That's right.
I just aimed at the players that tried to knock them out. And last but not least, I want to talk about the best atmosphere in the NFL on game day. Where's your favorite place to play? Because the fans just are that amazing 12th man on the field that change everything.
Well, for me, Wayne, I'm trying to stay away from the places where I went and got the shit kicked out of me, which is plenty of time. Oh, you remember this way. Remember the old Vet Stadium, like Vet and Three Rivers? They were the concrete floors with a piece of carpet laid over them and the concrete stadiums, and people were going nuts. I love that blue-collar atmosphere like the Steelers fans when they're out there. And now we've got some changes with the new way people tailgate. But to me, the best atmospheres that I ever played at were Old Cleveland Municipal Stadium, because the history and the tradition of the dog pound, and they tailgate like crazy. Kansas City may very well be the best right now. The smell of barbecue. They're there at 4:30 in the morning for game day. And I also throw Lambeau Field Green Bay, because they plop it right in the middle. I don't want to leave anybody up, but they stick out to me. And Buffalo, great friggin' fans, great tailgate, because that's the game in town, and you're going to show up, and they're starting their barbecue or their breakfast, and you're there through breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Great tailgate. Those are the four. And I love Green Bay because we'd go there, and they got the stadium planted right in the neighborhood, so you can go to the restroom at somebody's house. They'd beat your ass into the ground, and then they'd offer you a brat and a beer on the team bus before you left to go back to the airport. So those four stick out the most, not just tailgating, but just the atmosphere of great football. And the Steelers you always got to put in there because of the tradition and history of their football franchise, and they're used to winning.
All right, so you left out two of mine. I'd put right at the top, Seattle. Obviously, the home of the 12th man, right? I mean, just amazing. And that atmosphere, that loud crowd noise that sounds like a 747, you can only get that kind of decibel level in Seattle. And then I think from now on, the tradition is going to be the Vegas Raiders. I mean, look at the Vegas Golden Knights in hockey, and I go to a lot of their games, and it's the most incredible atmosphere, the most incredible fans, and the best entertainment. Again, the fans voted it number one for entertainment of every team in hockey. And I think you're going to see the same thing with the Vegas Raiders, and they're going to get some of that Oakland Raider tradition, fans in the hole, crazy people dressed like crazy people. I think the Raiders are going to have an amazing home field advantage in Las Vegas.
Yeah, and you know what, Wayne, about that too, is that doesn't hurt my feelings, because I grew up a diehard, lifelong Oakland Raider fan. And when I played for the Chargers, when we played at old Oakland Alameda County Coliseum, they had the black hole, and I made sure I went over there and basically kissed their ass so the fans wouldn't be booing me the whole time, try to get on their good side. But great fans, and now in Vegas, you're right, that atmosphere and the entertainment away from the stadium on game day is going to be pretty impressive. Awesome stuff.
Big advantage for the Raiders. I pick them to win a wild card this year. I think they'll finally break through in Gruden's third year. Third year, I believe, right?
I can't wait till you and I. But start as we get closer now before the season, start to pick our Super Bowl winner and our MVPs and wild card and playoff. I'm looking forward to that conversation with you, my man.
It'll be a lot of fun. I look forward to a great season with Sean Salisbury. Thank you, my man, Sean.
Love you, brother. Thank you.
See you next week.
You bet.
Thanks for hanging out with us on Crush House Cappers today. I want you to remember you could sign up right now to become a part of the Crush House gang and unlock all my winning picks only at VegasWinners.com. Free winners and best bets. What else can you do at VegasWinners.com? Check out all our entertaining and informative Crush House podcasts. Enter to win fabulous prizes, including trips to Vegas to join me and the Crush House gang to watch a game, break some bread, and experience Sin City like few ever will. And most importantly, it's all about the Benjamins. The winning is at VegasWinners.com. Free winning advice and best bet winners. Register right now and automatically get the picks, the wisdom, the analysis, and the winning point spread advice, free advice, and best bet winners. It's all there. Also, a big thank you to Big Al McMordie for dropping in. I enjoyed our chat, as always. If you like what you saw or heard, come back and tune into Crush House Cappers every week only on the Crush House Network, which includes Crush House Cappers, Crush House Legends podcasts. Thank you for stopping in to another episode of Crush House Cappers, because winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. Until next time, just win big, baby.